We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports, and you can download the show everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music. Make sure to download it. What's going on? I know the Bulls are playing right now as we're live. Fortunately, I saw that they're losing, so hopefully we could turn things around with the Bulls. But hey, today is another draft day, another position profiles day, where we're going to be breaking down all the best wide receivers that are out there. And also, if you're a big draft fan, make sure to stay tuned and make sure to download our draft guide. It's a link down below in the description. It's absolutely free. Over 150 different profiles that are out there. I think now it's up to 175 different pages. Whole bunch of stuff. Lots of advanced analytics. I also just threw down all the different top 30s and also have a little emblem if that person has actually gone on that top 30 visit or just any sort of visit with the Chicago Bears. So lots and lots of information out there. But before we get into the wide receivers, we have to talk a little bit about some of the news that just broke. I have a couple things out there on my screen that I wanted to talk about. For one, the Chicago Bears have now locked up TJ Edwards for an extra 2 years. Now that's great stuff. That is something that gets you excited. I'm a big TJ Edwards fan. He's been the best linebacker that we've actually had, and the Bears signed him to an extension, 2 years, $20 million, so $10 million a year, and also $16.6 million of that is fully guaranteed. So that's outstanding. That is a lot of money for him. But yet again, the Bears are trying to do something in the next 3 years. And that's awesome because right now, TJ Edwards is going to be 29 this year, or he turns 29 this year, I believe in August. And then after that, the next 2 years, it's going to be his age 30 season, age 31 season. And for linebackers, that's good. He'll be a free agent when he's 32 years old. I really like it. You sign back somebody that has done well, and yet again, you continue to reward those players. And what Ryan Poles has talked about, he attacks individuals one at a time to say, okay, you get your extension, you get your extension, and now who's next? I think is the next question. So who do y'all think is next? Is anybody next? Because personally, for me, I think it's Joe Thuney, and that would be about it. And it kind of shows how good this team that we have is going to keep staying here and moving on to the next season. Because when you look at this, your free agents, basically all your safeties are going to be free agents. So I don't think they're going to re-sign Byard or Brisker yet, because, you know, you have the Brisker head injuries with the concussions, everything like that. But then also you have, Byard just with the age. I don't think that they're going to it's not smart to hand something out to someone who's pretty darn old. Right now, it would be a bold move if the Bears ended up doing that. But speaking of people that are a little old that you feel confident with at least giving out an extension, I think Joe Thuney's next. I think that Joe Thuney, there's been talks that the Bears would want to extend him. I think that would be perfect. I would extend him 2 years so that he's same deal as Dahlman, same deal as Jonah Jackson. It just seems logical. And if you pick up the 5th-year option on Darnell Wright, which all indications show, knock on wood, that you would, you're talking about 4 of your offensive linemen locked in for the next 3 years. That's awesome. So let's look for Thuney next. That's what I'm hoping gets done. Hopefully it gets a quick turnaround, just like we saw with TJ Edwards, because that would just be awesome. The next two, I don't think Andrew Billings gets one because he's coming off an injury. And I also don't think Braxton Jones gets one. I think he's going to be on the same timetable as like Tevin Jenkins, saying, if you want this extension, you have to earn it. And if you do, we'll pay you handsomely, right? We'll pay you great money if you show that you are that next left tackle that we need. But with all the rumors about the Bears potentially getting a left tackle, I don't think they're going to extend Braxton Jones anytime soon. But let's see what y'all are saying out there. Joe, what's good? Bear down to you as well. Taco Man saying Allen is gone. He's I'm curious who he ends up going with. It should be the Chargers. He's always said he wants to go back to the Chargers. But if that was the case, he'd already signed with the Chargers right now. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to see what he does. I don't think he's going to be here just because what the Bears want to do they want to get fast, right? And that's actually why we're going to talk about the wide receivers. And Joe also saying Edmonds better sell his house. Hey, we'll be covering the linebackers, but yeah, I think Edmonds has one more year with us. We'll see how he does in this system. I mean, Dennis Allen is someone that does get a lot out of his linebackers, but yeah, I'm done paying $18 million a year for him. So let's actually flip over to the wide receivers. But before we do that, Shy Drax, what's good, my friend? It's been a while. I hope you are doing well, my friend. And also too, Taco Man saying, like Ed, just needs to fill those running lanes. So let's get into why wide receivers. And actually before this, there's one other piece of news that I want to bring up just because I find this interesting. Tony Pauline actually said, I think it was either today or yesterday, that he believes the Raiders are serious about Missouri right tackle Armand Membou. So we were breaking down a lot of mock drafts yesterday, and that is somebody that, hey, Armand Membou, I'm fine with him going to the Raiders if that means that the Bears could potentially get Ashton Genty, because I like the idea of us being able to get him. So it does kind of shake things up a little bit, and it is something that we talked about yesterday where, yes, it seems like everyone has the exact same mock draft in the first 9 picks, actually first 10 picks, but also too, John Spytek, the GM of the Raiders, likes offensive line. He believes in the offensive line, so it does make sense if he wants to go after Membou or another offensive lineman. And I feel that offensive linemen are going to be a little bit scarce in this draft, so they might go a little bit early because it's important. And when you look at the odds for who's going to get drafted at number 10, right now, Ashton Genty is actually the betting favorite at plus 300, followed by Tyler Warren at plus 350, Kelvin Banks at plus 900, Mikel Williams at basically 10-1 odds, Will Campbell 11-1, Membou at 11-1, Will Johnson 15-1, Omarion Hampton 18-1. I might just like sprinkle $10 on that just cuz. And Travion Henderson is 20-1. That's what's kind of crazy. So to me, that's how I'm feeling. But also, let's see. Joe saying news broke. Raiders left tackle seeking new contract. Raiders not contacting him. Classic Raiders. Classic Raiders. But yeah, so maybe they do need that lineman. But let's now get into the wide receivers. Let's talk about why wide receiver. So why do the Bears need a wide receiver? Well, I don't think it's great because it's not a super key need. I think it's more so if we feel somebody drops to the Bears or is someone later down in the drafts that we feel is someone that could potentially be a game wrecker and just a weapon that we can use on the offense. Yet again, we use a lot of 2 tight end sets, or Ben Johnson likes to typically use a lot of 2 tight end sets. So you don't have a lot of 3 wide receivers out there. And also with the addition, especially of like Olamide Zaccheaus, yeah, he's not an amazing wide receiver 3. He's not Keenan Allen as your wide receiver 3, but still you expect that, hey, Cole Kmet, or if we get another tight end, and our 2 wide receivers in Rome Odunze and DJ Moore should get bulk of those catches that are out there. So that's really where, if we feel like someone could be that wide receiver 3, and I think about the position too, I could see DJ Moore playing more of that slot receiver because we saw what Amon-Ra St. Brown, or kind of being that Amon-Ra St. Brown type of mold inside of this offense. So let's get right into it. And I have a crazy little round. So we're going to go and start off with the 2nd round wide receivers first, then the 7th, then the 5th, then the 3rd. It's going to make no sense, but trust me, there's a method to the madness. The reason why I wanted to start with the 2nd round droppers, as I'm calling them, is because wide receivers in the consensus ratings are kind of plummeting. Like they're dropping out of the 1st round, and there's more and more talks about these literal 1st round grade wide receivers potentially going in the 2nd. Now, we don't absolutely need a wide receiver, but I wanted to call these guys out because if you're at pick 39 and some of these wide receivers are there, you might go, well, maybe we go best player available and we take one of these wide receivers. So who might be available there? I'm going to start with Luther Burden, where Luther Burden came in as wide receiver number 1 out of Missouri, where he was absolutely crazy. He had over 1,209 yards in 2023 and really just kind of plummeted this year. Did not have a great season, 61 receptions, but 676 yards. So nearly splitting that in half. And also he's someone who primarily wins in the slot. So I like the ability of him potentially being there for the Bears. Right now, the consensus number 34 player, I believe he's still kind of dropping. He's wide receiver 4. He's my wide receiver number 2. And quite frankly, he reminds me of DJ Moore. Like, you watch this guy, 6 foot, 206. He's DJ Moore to a T. He was number 1 in missed tackles, so you know the Bears are going to love that. And yeah, the only negative that I would say about the Bears drafting him is that he is a clone of DJ Moore. Typically, you want different styles of players. This guy's DJ Moore. You literally put it on, you go, that if you told me that was DJ Moore, you'd be convinced. But I like what Taco Man said. Speed, speed, speed. That's what Luther Burden has. He's pure speed, breaking tackles. That's what he's going to do. Now, the negatives. He had a down year, right? People are kind of questioning that. Yes, he can break tackles. He also has some pretty good, he's pretty good at receiving. Good enough route runner. Now, the only negatives, not a great run blocker, right? That's not the end of the world. Not really a jump ball guy, just like DJ Moore. So DJ Moore does not just moss people or anything like that. He's more of a, I'll get open and then I'll make people miss. But also too, didn't run the deepest route tree at Missouri. So a lot of his routes, he was doing a lot of deep balls. It wasn't like incredibly limited, but it's something that you start nitpicking a little bit, some of these first round wide receivers. So Luther Burden, if he drops, I might be interested in that, even though it sounds a little crazy. But man, this guy is very, very, very talented. And to get another just absolute weapon, Ben Johnson would be able to figure out something with him. But another player that is slowly starting to drop down boards, Emeka Egbuka, number 33, wide receiver 3. I think it's less likely that he actually drops into the second round and is there at pick 39. But he's someone that I think people are just getting bored with. As pretentious and as bad as that sounds, Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, 6'1", 202. And this guy's just Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's your typical Ohio State wide receiver. He's a high floor slot receiver with most of his routes out of the slot, 343 slot snaps to 70 wide snaps, over 1,000 receiving yards last season. And this is just somebody that just generates space. Just like Jackson Smith and Jigba, he just gets open. He's a slot guy. He's also a very good blocker, aggressive blocker. And yeah, like the biggest thing is like when you watch him, just like Jackson Smith and Jigba, he gets open. He does great things. But when you see him, you go, I don't think you're going to be a wide receiver 1, right? You're going to be a really good wide receiver, but not necessarily a wide receiver 1 at any time soon. He doesn't kind of give you that elite type of vibe. You just know that he's going to come in and do well, right? I wouldn't love it. I mean, I would like it if the Bears got him, but it's not one of those picks where you jump for joy. You just go, all right, got a good receiver, right? Move on to the next pick type of deal. So that's really who you're kind of expecting that could potentially drop. Egbuka, not really seeing it as much, but Luther Burden, a lot of talk about him dropping yet again. Maybe it's because of the routes and just having a down year. But Luther Burden kind of going down on a lot of people's big boards. One other person that I do just want to call out just because I like him so much. I wouldn't be a huge fan if the Bears drafted him, but just watch where he goes, or I just don't think that the Bears would really try to take a stab at him. But Jaden Higgins, Iowa State, 6'4", 215. Talked about him a little bit before on the show. Nico Collins. And honestly, to me, he just reminds me of someone that, like, he just reminds you of Nico Collins, where you go, why is this guy going in the second? This guy's very, very good at wide receiver. And yeah, he's just outstanding. Crazy size. Also can move very well. Very good at breaking tackles, low key. But also he transferred from Eastern Kentucky in 2023. I like this guy. I really, really like this guy. Do I think we should spend, overall with these players, do I think we should spend a second round pick on a wide receiver? No. It just depends on who's on the board though, right? If Luther Burden's out there, yeah, like awesome. Take this first round talent. And quite frankly, Jaden Higgins is right up there in those first round talent conversations. So that is one of the thoughts, because I think the Bears just really need a third receiving weapon, or technically a fourth receiving weapon, just so that you have like those four with Komet, Rome, DJ, and you feel good about that. So let's see. Sean, what's good, my friends? And also Sean saying he likes Higgins, he likes Burden better. I do agree there. And yeah, saying he doubts Burden falls to the second where we are. Yeah, I agree. I think that's where it's like I wanted to call them out, as these people are at least starting to drop. But yeah, if they dropped, I don't really think so. So, but let's see what we have out here. Also, Shadrack saying, hopes I'm live. I probably won't be, but I will have a show like right after they draft somebody in the first round. So yeah, you already know. So I'll definitely have something like that. And yeah, 8 days from now, we get to celebrate the NFL draft. Heck yeah. So let's go into, right, let's move on from this second round early stuff out there, because I agree with Bears fan, like a little bit early. Let's go into the 7th round sleepers, because there's a lot. I even had to remove some of these because I'm like, I'll just try and limit it to 20 different wide receiver profiles. And like I said before, you can always download the draft guide, because it has all my other thoughts, ideas, explanations on a lot of these different players as well. So I had Kobe Hudson out of UCF, someone I really like, but now he's starting to move up. But I just wanted to shout him out a little bit. He's somebody that's very good, more of a deep ball type of runner, and pretty good possession guy. But let's start talking about these 7th round wide receivers that the Bears could potentially see drop to them at their final picks. So starting off with one, we got Elijah Badger, the consensus 336 player, wide receiver number 42. We're talking about him today, ladies and gentlemen. He's the wide receiver out of Florida, senior, 6'1", 200. And I ended up watching him literally yesterday before the show, because I didn't have a profile on him, but I've heard people say, you got to watch him. You got to watch him. And I'm like, okay, I'll put it on. And I'm literally watching him going, why is he a 7th round? Why is he projected to go undrafted? Why is he the number 42 wide receiver on the consensus big board? This guy's good. This guy's really good. 0% drop rate, right? And normally when you see somebody, because he has 39 receptions, 806 yards, that is something that, you kind of go, oh, big play threat, probably can't catch the ball well. Elijah Badger can catch. He's 68.8% contested catch rate, 88.5 man-to-man grade in the SEC as a Florida wide receiver. Reliable hands, 0% drop rate. And even before that, he was at Arizona State, transferred over. And even before there, I want to say he has a sub 5% drop rate throughout his career, and a 0% this year. This guy can catch. This guy can get open. He's got good speed. And yeah, he 20 plus yards per catch shows this guy is a big play wide receiver. 6'1", 200. He was like 6'1", 180 was what he was listed for the Gators, but he gained some weight, some good weight, and still ran very well at the combine. I believe like around a 4.4 40 time. But when you look at him, the negatives, right? I'm hyping this guy up. What are the negatives? Why is he still kind of projected to go, round 6 to undrafted? The big thing with him, because he is fast. He's a very fast guy, but also he's more of a runner. When you see him on tape, he runs. He's not running routes, if that makes sense. Like, he's kind of like playing backyard football out there, where he's just like kind of like, he's not trying to set someone up, not trying to make somebody miss. So that's where you go, well, maybe can I coach that? Can I teach him how to run routes? Because if you can, that's his biggest negative that I see is he's running, but he's not running routes. Also, 2023 back injury. Obviously, he came back, played very well. Also, not a great blocker. We'll see how important blocking is. We got rid of Luke Getsy, and now we're bringing back, hey, we need Equanimeous St. Brown, the greatest run blocking wide receiver of all time out there. But really, Elijah Badger, I like him. I like him a lot. So yeah, that is somebody that down in the 7th round, I'm looking at, our picks that are basically at the end of the draft. I like this guy. But wait, there's even more wide receivers that I want to talk about. There's another Florida Gator wide receiver, and that is Chimere DK. And now we talked about him during one of the mock draft episodes. Florida wide receiver, 6'1", 196, senior out of Florida. And this one, speaking of Badgers, former Wisconsin Badger for 4 years, transfers over to Florida. And the reason why I like this guy is he reminds me of Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer, Tampa Bay wide receiver now, used to be Nebraska. This guy is just fast. This guy is blazing fast, blazing quick. That's how he wins. You see this guy and you're like, oh my gosh, he takes the top off the defense. He plays in the slot, plays out wide. And yeah, it's just the pure athlete. That's why he reminds me of Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer coming out, not a real true wide receiver, not a great route runner, just like DK. So DK, not going to be your route runner. Not great hands. His career drop rate is over 10%, but really this guy is a playmaker. So you don't mind the drops if it's a 7th rounder, right? If you're going after someone in the 7th round or undrafted, you do not mind this because DK, the consensus 243rd player overall, wide receiver 27. So that's somebody that I really like. Yet again, 7th rounder, big speed, big playability. That's what the Bears are going to be going for. That's why I wanted to call him out. And next, somebody who is, for those that are watching, you can see the little airplane icon right next to Jalen Lane's name. That means the Bears brought Jalen Lane in on a visit, and he's out of Virginia Tech, redshirt senior, 5'10", 191. And this guy, he's kind of built a little bit like a running back. Reminds me of Khalif Raymond a little bit out of from the Detroit Lions, where this guy is a playmaker. This guy is somebody that only 38 receptions, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns. So you see that and you go, wait, this guy did nothing, right? But this is someone, the Bears have a type that it seems like they're trying to bring in. It's the punt returners. This is a very good punt returner. This is someone that has some very good strength. Like I said, kind of built like a running back. Also too, a lot of his touches were kind of like end arounds, short targets, screens, other things like that. Very athletic, 96th percentile athlete. But yeah, literally the first play that I saw, I instantly had my draft guide open and you just saw the speed. So my first line in the draft guide is literally speed is evident off first snap. Because as soon as you saw him, you're just, wow, okay, I see what they see out of this guy. Now, the negatives, as you can expect, right? Only 466 receiving yards. That's not great. Poor ball tracker, right? A lot of these guys can semi-track the ball. Usually I call that out if they're better at that than others. But Jalen Lane is someone not great at tracking the deep ball. Also, too, for someone who's a playmaker, I don't think he breaks tackles the way that you would expect. Like he's more of a run away from somebody than actually truly like make you miss. So he's more of just a let the blocks happen and I'll just kind of run by you type of deal. So when you look at the metrics, he didn't break a lot of tackles, but he broke a lot of big gains. So following blockers, that's a plus, but he's not necessarily stiff arming people around there. But also too, end arounds. Like I said, schemed up a lot of touches, mainly because not a big route runner. So that is something that isn't necessarily great. But this is someone, the consensus 211th player. That's why I really like Badger and DK. As someone that you could potentially get in the 7th compared to a Jalen Lane. Still like the guy, but yeah, definitely someone that you're hoping can be more of a weapon, while I think the other ones can really kind of develop into that wide receiver 3 type of piece. So let's keep on going. let's go into some more, right? I think that I have another 7th round sleeper. Yeah, one more 7th round sleeper, and that's Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn, 6'1", 190, the consensus 232nd player, wide receiver 25, projected to go in round 7 or UDFA. This is someone, yet again, too, I was like, I've never heard of this guy. Should I actually watch him? I watched him, and I'm glad that I did. This guy he had an outstanding Shrine Bowl. He was the big name that was coming out of it, wowing a lot of people. And my thing, I think that great Shrine Bowl, long arms, good receiver. And the thing that I just don't necessarily love, lacked a lot of suddenness in his routes. And most defenders also, I felt when you watch him, a lot of people can read like when he does a dig route. So kind of that, stop, come back, when he kind of puts his hands up. I felt like a lot of people kind of got to him and could read him a little bit. So I like the talent that he has. He's got the athletic upside to be a wide receiver number 3. But I felt like his route running a little bit poor. Defenders were kind of reading him. Also, big negative, not a special teamer. While the other ones we were talking about all have special teams upside, he does not. So I already see out there in the comments, Sean, I agree with you. I saw that. All right. That is the 7th rounders that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, get the draft guide. I have something about Kobe Hudson out of UCF out there. I just had to try and trim down the number of players that we were going to be talking about today. But now we got to talk about 5th round prospects, because there's a good chunk of 5th round wide receivers that we can get. I'm kind of putting these around the Bears draft picks as to who to kind of look out for. And there's one guy from the great state of Illinois that we have to talk about, and that is Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant, Illinois, 6'2", 204, senior. The consensus 172nd player overall, wide receiver number 19, round 5 to 6. And this guy, he reminds me of Tyler Johnson coming out of Minnesota, where Tyler Johnson was someone that was projected to go in the 5th round. And when I was watching, I'm like, this guy is dang good. He can catch. He's got good speed. He's got a great frame. And that's exactly what Pat Bryant has. And look at his stats, 54 receptions, 984 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, and he's an outside wide receiver. 291 out wide snaps, a 69.7% contested catch rate, and a 1.8% drop rate. If you're trying to do the math, he dropped 1 pass last year. That's it. 1 drop throughout last year, and that's great. Also, very good run blocker. Very good. And being 6'2", that is what you want to see. And I see Sean out there saying, that is the guy. I agree. I really, really liked Pat Bryant. Because for me, every time I watch an Illinois guy, I go, man, I hope he's good. I hope the Bears want to get him. And usually when I watch someone, unless it's one of the ones that are going like in the 1st round, there's not really a lot of these late round Illinois people I always see. But man, he's just a very reliable target, very strong framed receiver. So just is able to kind of get up there, get the ball, make a lot of these good contested catches. Now, the negative, it's when you see him run some routes, doesn't have kind of great shiftiness, some wiggle, as I kind of call it, but also the separation. That's going to be a big question. He is more of a possession receiver, more of like your Rome Odunze-esque, where possession receiver, very good athlete. I think it just depends on how the Bears want to build this wide receiver room. I know, who was it? I think it was actually with Matt Nagy. It always seemed like Matt Nagy had like a backup. Like he had Javon Wims, who was kind of the possession receiver backup for Allen Robinson. For me, Pat Bryant would be the perfect backup for Rome Odunze. You have somebody there that just can play like Rome Odunze. Very, very good possession receiver. And yeah, if he'll be able to block, so he'll be able to get the rock. So very good possession guy. Really like Pat Bryant. Like I said, like a lot of these some of these receivers, when you watch them, you go, yeah, that's not going to play. But Pat Bryant's one of those that definitely did pop. Definitely popped. Yet again, some questions with that separation being in the 52nd percentile. Not the end of the world, because you'll see some that are just awful. Not terrible for a possession receiver, but definitely can get better with that. So now, who else is out there? Shy Track saying Cole doesn't block. Love that. So going on to the next one, we got to talk about Dante Thornton. This is some of these receivers only do one thing, right? We talk about the playmakers that we had with like Jalen Lane. And now what we have with Dante Thornton. This is someone I wanted to talk about out of Tennessee, senior, 6'5", 205. This guy is a tower. Also, the metrics, or the sizes that I get, all from the scouting combine. These are not the Tennessee, Tennessee like heights, Tennessee weights, where they're always bigger than what people expect. He's a legit 6'5". He is a tower. He's the consensus 172nd wide receiver 18. Rounds 5 through 6 is where he's kind of projected. And he reminds me of Tyquan Thornton. Now, Tyquan Thornton gets a bad rep because he didn't do too hot, right? He did do too hot, but really the reason why is he got drafted in the first or the second round. You should wait to draft these guys because Dante Thornton, what he does good is he is a deep ball wide receiver. Very, very fast, ran a 4.3 on the dot 40 time. So at 6'5", running a 4.3, kind of reminds me a little bit of his teammate, also Jalen Hyatt, where yet again, Jalen Hyatt goes in the first round. Don't do that. Get the speedster as a complementary, a role player, right? Rather than an actual true wide receiver. That's why I wanted to bring this guy up because he is that. 26 receptions, 662 yards. Just is going to go out there and catch deep balls. He doesn't create a lot of separation when he tries to make moves. So I think he's going to have a very limited route tree, but he's somebody that is just going to be trying to blaze, trying to get by people. And also too, this guy breaks a couple good tackles. And also something that gets me a little concerned. Tennessee receivers, I don't know. I feel with the new regime at Tennessee, they never really fully translate. So that's where I'm also a little bit questionable out there with it all. So that's my feeling, but really Thornton, deep ball receiver out of Tennessee. And J2K, my friend, what is good? Hope you're doing well, man. But let's keep on going. Let's keep this show on the road. More 5th round wide receivers. Next, I am very curious to see where this guy goes. And that is Tez Johnson, Oregon wide receiver, senior, 5'10", 165. This guy is insanely small, insanely light. I put Tank Dell, but I feel like there's probably better comps out there. Now, the big concern that the Bears have to have is the size. And he didn't show great 40 times speed or anything like that. But this is someone who was at the Senior Bowl cooking people. Now, he was projected to go in the 3rd round. Now people are saying he's going to be potentially going in the 5th round because now people know just how light he is. But I think people also very quickly forget that this guy was cooking people up at the Senior Bowl. This guy was beating the cornerbacks like crazy, and that's where he was getting a lot of the Tank Dell comps because Tank Dell goes out to the Senior Bowl and it was cooking people the exact same way Tez Johnson was. Tez Johnson also, not great long speed, but very, very, very quick. So somebody that can be a weapon, dynamic after the catch as well. And that's why to me, if you have him in the 5th round, we know that they want to get weapons. Tez Johnson, he is a weapon. Now the weapon might break because it's 165 pounds, but that's where something is very, very interesting. So, but yeah, overall, Tez Johnson, I want to see, does he actually, I think he's going to drop a little bit, and that 5th round spot might be a good spot for him. Shy Drax, dude, every single time I say Oregon, I think of you. I literally always think, every time I pull someone up, I'm like, oh crap. I just look at the college, I'm like, okay, it's not gone. It's not Oregon. So yeah, but I'm glad I was able to get it. But let's keep on going for this. And yeah, I see J2K saying too, yeah, Bo Nix reunion. I think that's what's probably going to happen. Because yeah, like Bo Nix like literally took him in to his house. Like literally, he lived at his house, and yeah, they're tight. They're very, very tight. So I could see that reunion kind of being in place. So now, some of y'all might have seen. So I had to slim down some of those 5th round wide receivers. There's still some pretty good ones out there out in the draft guide. But let's go into 3rd round wide receivers. This is our last grouping of wide receivers that are out there. And there's a lot. Because I remember we were saying that 3rd round might be the sweet spot if the Bears really feel like they need a contributor, really need somebody to really get someone above Olamide Zaccheaus. This 3rd round might be the sweet spot. But yet again, if you can get one of these later round guys that we just talked about, that's kind of the way that I would like them. After watching a lot of the different prospects, I'm kind of hoping that they try to go more of that 7th round avenue because, like we were just talking about, some pretty talented guys. But let's talk about these 3rd round wide receivers. And we're going to get started with, I think, everybody's quote unquote sleeper pick. And that's Kyle Williams, Washington State wide receiver. The reason why I say quote unquote is because this guy rocketed up draft boards. I don't think anybody's gone higher up draft boards than Kyle Williams out of Washington State. He is the consensus 95th player, but he's still probably rising at this very moment. Still probably rising. The Bears brought him in for a top 30 visit. This guy is 5'11", 190. Again, Ben Johnson, not afraid of those skinnier wide receivers, but this guy reminds me of Marvin Mims, where he's just this dynamic, quick, fast-footed, quick-footed type of guy. He can take the top off of the defense, running deep balls. He just can make very, very, very good, quick moves for you. Now, the negative is this guy does not win with his catch radius. He's got very short arms. He's got short arms. He's 5'11". He's 190. This is somebody that is going to try and make moves and try to beat you. He's not a physical guy. So I do have questions. Anytime you have a smaller guy, are they going to block? Are they going to get the rock? Yet again, Darnell Mooney was actually a pretty good blocker for his size. Kyle Williams, we'll just have to see with that. But yet again, poor level of competition that he was playing out at Washington State was very, very productive. But man, he looks good. He's a very, very smooth player, dynamic player, quick-footed. Really, really like this guy. And that's why, yet again, people were drafting him in the 7th round and being like, this guy's the sleeper. And then it was like drafting him in the 5th. This guy's the sleeper. And now in the 3rd, we're like, I don't know if he's a sleeper now. Now he's like more so properly ranked. He's more of a 3rd round type of receiver that's out there. So Kyle Williams out of Washington State. Let's keep on going. This guy, I don't really like, but I wanted to bring him up because I wanted to bring up my personal thought is Savion Williams, TCU wide receiver, 6'5", 225. This is the guy that is your Cordero Patterson mold, your Quentin Johnson mold, right? Copy and paste, whatever you thought, like Velus Jones. This is that guy. His biggest strength, playmaking. His biggest weakness is playing wide receiver. And that's not a slight. Like, the guy is not good at playing wide receiver. 60 receptions, 611 yards, 11.8% drop rate, 88.9% contested catch rate. I think that is a little bit skewed, but still, he's not an actual deep ball, catch ball guy. This is the Laviska Shenault role. And the reason why I wanted to bring this guy up is because we've seen this time and time again with any sort of wide receiver, like it be Laviska Shenault, Cordero Patterson, Velus Jones. Why not move a player like that to the running back position? Because whenever they get good, you put them at the running back position and then they're good. So that is something that I just want to throw out there. Whoever drafts Savion Williams, why not put him at running back? Why not give him a shot there first? Because the experiment typically doesn't work out. So give him a shot, put him at running back, right? That's the thing that I just wanted to kind of call out with this guy overall is big time playmaker, but not necessarily a wide receiver. So fits the Bears mold, but yeah, for a 3rd round pick, nah, he's better than Velus though. I'll at least give him that. So now let's continue on in to the other wide receivers. I think I have 6 more wide receivers, and then we'll kind of wrap things up because there's a lot in this little third round mold that the Bears can get. And at the consensus number 76 wide receiver overall is Jalen Royals out of Utah State, 6', 205. More of that running back type of a mold. And some of the negatives doesn't necessarily create as much separation as you'd like. Reminds me, though, a little bit of Jermaine Kearse, where Jermaine Kearse, I felt like every single catch that he had was a highlight reel catch. And that's exactly what Jalen Royals has. You throw on the highlight film and you just go, geez, this guy is insane. That's all he does. I'm pretty sure. Every catch, he had 55 catches. Probably all of them were gigantic acrobatic catches. That's what this guy does. He high points the ball so well. As someone who is built like a running back, he catches it so well, can pinpoint it, leap up into the ball, grab it, bring it back down. That is something that you love. Also, 17 broken tackles on the season. Very good at breaking tackles. Very good at high pointing the ball. This guy could be someone that is on that list with the big play potential. Negatives: not great versus press. Not great, kind of like the traits of being a wide receiver, the feeling of running those routes. That's some of the negatives that are out there as well. So that's something that I just want to kind of call out with Jalen Royals, just because he's someone that can do a lot. And I think also it has the NFL Next Gen Stats badge as being someone that's actually a safer prospect when you look at his production and his athletic scores. But also too, let's keep on going. I want to call this guy out because this is someone that had a trip with the Bears, and this guy, I don't think he gets drafted, and I don't want the Bears to draft him because, we talked about, this is someone that is now off of boards, and that's Isaiah Bond, Texas wide receiver. For those that didn't see what happened, he basically turned himself in for a sexual assault case, or like a sexual assault warrant, turns himself in. Now he's saying that he's completely innocent and he's trying to fight it and trying to push back, but he turned himself in. I don't know the judicial system well enough to have an opinion either way. I just don't want to touch him. Right? I just don't want to touch the entire situation at all now, right? He's off my board. He's off the board. And quite frankly, I don't think he gets drafted because I think that NFL teams are like, I don't want to touch this. I don't want to draft this guy. How are you supposed to? Because Isaiah Bond as a player, we've talked about before, where former 5-star recruit, someone that then disappointed when it came down to actually putting up big numbers. But man, he is talented. He is very, 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 very talented. That's it. So he got brought in on a top 30 visit, and Dane Brugler brought this up just about top 30 visits. He's like, it doesn't mean a team absolutely loves this guy. It could also mean that they want to meet him to say, hey, are you a jerk? Right? And they might have met Isaiah Bond and went no, that's the reason why he was never able to be productive in college. Right? And for anybody that's like, man, why do we bring up how talented he is? Just watch him. He's very, very talented, needs to be coached. But yet again, you go to Texas and you go to Alabama and you're still not able to produce. That's a big red flag. And now you throw in the legal stuff that's going on, even bigger red flag with that. I think he goes undrafted. So I wanted to just call him out, though, and just bring up Isaiah Bond, where he's now just a giant enigma. But now, let's see what we think out there. Because also, Sean, I see the question out there saying he doesn't like the idea of using a third on wide receiver. I agree. Like I said, at first I did. In my first mock draft, I went wide receiver in the third. But now I'm thinking about it. It's the more that I watch the wide receivers and the talent at the wide receiver position, yeah, I'm kind of out on that. Depending on who's there, obviously, I think there's always that caveat. But yeah, a little bit farther out with some of these. But if the Bears think that they need someone, that's where they would go in here. But 4 more wide receivers, and then we're going to be done for the day. So with this guy was getting all the talk, all the buzz, but now not so much anymore. And that's TCU wide receiver Jack Besh. 66 consensus overall player, wide receiver 9, so might go a little bit before the Chicago Bears. But this is someone over 1,000 receiving yards last season at TCU. He was the Senior Bowl MVP. A lot of people know his story. This is the receiver whose brother got killed in the New Orleans act of violence, and just amazing story. Sad story, but amazing story. And he's had an incredible entire draft process. But really, it's not just the story. This guy is great. This guy is truly a great player. And yeah, like he's one of those guys, every ball that went his way, he seemingly caught. 1.6% drop rate, so only dropped, I believe, one pass throughout his year last year. 65% contested catch rate. Reminds me of Michael Wilson, where this guy can play outside. He can also play in the slot. I should have actually grabbed his slot snaps out there. This guy can play out wide. This guy can play in the slot. Loves to block, and is great at it. With that 215 frame, he's big, he's beefy too, and he's a pretty good mover. Now, it's not elite top end speed or elite, athleticism across the board, but for a third round pick, I really like this guy. He just simply is a good football player. And 17 broken tackles too. He can break tackles. He can catch, he can break tackles, he can block, he can do everything for you. And that's where in the third round, yet again, this might not be a sexy pick, but he's somebody that is just going to be a contributor for a football team that's out there. But now we have 3 more players left that we're going to go through. The last couple bit at that, and this is where, okay, if these guys drop to the Bears, I kind of like where Jalen Knoll, the consensus number 64 player overall out of Iowa State, senior, 5'11", 200 pounds, over 1,193 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, 80 receptions. And man, like I've talked about him before. I like him because he's a speedy slot receiver that can also get vertical. Very, very good route runner as well. Now, the biggest negative, maybe not a great blocker, his play strength is definitely lacking. Even though he's 200 pounds at 5'11", you just because you weigh 200 pounds doesn't mean you play like 200 pounds. He's very shifty, very quick, but he's not using his body to his advantage in his game. Not a very physical player, just more of a speed type of player, but I like him. I've said this before, big fan of Jalen Knoll. And then last 2, Alec Umaner or Iumaner. I've heard it pronounced 2 different ways from many different people. But then we have Stanford wide receiver, 6'2", 210, big body guy. He's got all the athletic traits that you want. I still don't really like him from a separation perspective. Very big body, can catch the ball. But that's someone that I just felt was someone that's starting to drop, someone that was projected to go in the second, and he's dropping. And the only other player too, I just want to touch on Trey Harris out of Mississippi. This is the guy, 6'2", 205, reminds me of Alec Pierce because he runs basically his entire route tree is deep balls and cutbacks, right? And hitches, right? All he's doing is he's just going deep or he's not going deep and he's stopping right before he goes deep. But it works. He had a 95 grade in man-to-man, and that's what he does. Just like Alec Pierce, he was phenomenal at this, and that's what he did. The Bears actually brought in Trey Harris as well, so they definitely have his eye. The other thing, too, is he's 6th percentile in separation. He is awful when it comes down to man-to-man. He's not a good separator at all. He's just a deep ball guy. I'm going to try and run by you. He's actually pretty good when it comes down to zone. But yeah, the man-to-man stuff was not great. 6th percentile in separation. To me, Trey Harris is the biggest boom or bust second round, third round type of guy. Trey Harris was the consensus second round pick guy. Now number 59, kind of dropping down. But man, Trey Harris, this is someone, if someone told me they love Trey Harris, I'd go, yeah, like you can, because this guy he's going to be a boom or bust. And he's going to either be, we're going to go, why did Trey Harris drop in the second round? Or we're going to be like, why did someone take Trey Harris? He's literally that type of player just because he was so good. And you look at a lot of the metrics and it's like this 6th percentile in separation, but then he's also in the top right quadrant in some other graphics where he's like outstanding. So a very big time enigma, but someone who is very productive inside of college indeed, but might be there in the 3rd round. I still don't really buy it that he might be there. Always kind of been in that 2nd round range. And I think that's kind of where he ends up going. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Is there a wide receiver that you really like? Is there one that I didn't talk about today that you really like as well? Like I said, feel free to download the draft guide. It's down below in the comments so you can download it, see all the different people that are out there. I'm going to be adding more offensive linemen. We have the linebackers out there. I might not do a show on linebackers. That might be a little bit boring. But offensive line, I'll probably do a show on that. But man, we have 8 days until the NFL draft. I'll keep you covered with all the best draft content that's out there. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and if you're watching this, feel free to comment, bear down. It helps out the show tremendously. Share it out with your friends. Thank you all so much. Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bride.